Good morning. It's freezing cold. It's about 6:30 on a June morning. We're going for one of our long journeys again to collect some equipment, mostly audio equipment this time. And hopefully we'll have time to call in at my friend Chris Squires on the way back. He's featured on this channel before to look at some of his scanner equipment. So let's start out on our 5-hour journey.
Hello, this is Joe Caithness from Joe Caithness Mastering. I am on my way, currently somewhere on the M1, miscellaneous service station. I'm going to pick up the 1630, a U-Matic drive for the 1630, and hopefully some other little bits and bobs. So I will see you soon.
Hello, well we've arrived at our destination. Now I'm here meeting Joe Caithness. Joe, could you tell me a little bit about what you do?
So I'm a mastering and transfer engineer based in Nottingham, and I do a lot of reissue work, so I do a lot of archival things, which is why I am hunting down the 1630, which we are coming to collect today, hopefully.
And so we're going to share some equipment between us. We've come to meet a chap by the name of Hamish, who is selling off some equipment. Could you tell me a little bit about where the equipment's coming from? What do you know?
So it's from a mastering engineer. I don't know if we're allowed to say who he is, but it's a sale of an estate of a mastering engineer. So it's an entire studio that goes all the way back to before the CD mastering days. And what we're picking up is a lot of his original Sony CD mastering bits and bobs, including some of his backups and some spares. Right. So it goes all the way back to 1980 or possibly even earlier.
Right. Okay.
So someone who was in the industry for a very long time, who's retired and sold their entire studio on to this reseller who we're here to meet today to collect the last bits.
Right, okay. So exactly what we get, we won't entirely know until we see it, will we? It's going to be a bit like some sort of Storage Wars episode. Right, okay. So here we have Hamish, who has a collection of equipment for sale. What can you tell us about the equipment you have?
It is a bunch of rubbish from it's the dregs of a studio clear out, basically. Okay. It's a mastering studio, and the guy's retired, and we're selling it to Joe here.
Right. Okay. Right, well let's see what we have.
All right, sure.
That's the Puma 4000, I think.
Yeah, so you're on that one.
Yes, that's for me.
Yeah. Well, it's deep, isn't it?
Oh, they're big lumps.
I've never seen one.
This is missing its side panel, so it's presumably been used in a rack at some point.
Yeah, there was a photo, wasn't there, of all of it racked up.
Okay, let's.
I guess do they have little trolleys at the front?
Yeah, I think it would be best to get a trolley.
Yes.
Maybe pull it out, put it to one side, and then trolley
exactly.
it.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So that's one of the 1630s. Now one of them.
One's supposed to work and one not, isn't it?
Yeah. So
but we don't know which is which.
Might have to just check, have a look, and see if there's any
Stickers. Taking the working one and one taking.
Yeah, I'm taking the working one.
I'm taking the non-working one.
Well, we can plug it in with an extension cable that's running up.
Okay. Well, if the non-working one's dead, that'll.
Yeah, that'll be a giveaway.
Cover it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's.
I hope it is, because that's the sort of fault I can.
Yeah, sort of. I can do it.
Plug this in. This is.
Okay. Right. Where's the socket?
Up.
The DTS-120, yes, that's a Sony DAT player.
Is that something you're already taking? Is it, or is it something we're negotiating with?
Well, originally there should be. I think these Audio Design Pro DATs. No, I don't know if that is that.
I know what that looks like.
That's a 45. Let me just on the original. Let me just quickly grab the picture up.
That's very similar to the machine that I modified. Do you remember that? On one of my YouTube videos, you remember the one where I turned a DAT machine into a format converter?
See, I wondered if that was the format converter, but that's only got 44.1 and 48. On the original,
that's not format converter. That could be pressed into service. That's a power to IEC socket. Yeah, we could use that with an extension cable.
Yeah.
So we have power up to what we believe is hopefully a good cable. Let's try this one. Aha.
Ooh. Good VU meter, lovely 80s Sony VU meter.
So certainly it's got good power. Whether the machine works or not is another thing. So let's try the other one.
Power's on as well.
Power's on as well. So we're not really any the wiser.
No. without asking Kevin.
Tell you what we could do, which would only take a second, is pop these off and see if all cards are in.
And then we'll be sorted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many empty slots? And then there's always some.
2 empty slots.
Right, on the right hand side? No, no. Right, so AUX and DA AD. I think that's for the SPDIF output actually.
Yeah, it's got the emphasis switch.
And this is slightly different. This is missing the RAR card, which is really important.
Right. Okay, so this one has got the RAR card, so maybe that one is the... Maybe that's been taken out of that and put into this.
I think the RAR was an optional extra.
Right.
Yes, I think it was, you know. So that makes it a bit of a chocolate teapot.
This one still might not be working.
We still don't know which one works if either, but okay.
How many cards has that got? It's the same amount of cards though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Still
because
the
this
IO
has got
cards.
one in the second to end slot, the DA-DO board.
See, this doesn't have that. So they should still both have an AES output then.
No, neither do as far as I can tell.
Right. So the
Both are analog only.
they were right. Okay.
That's quite dead.
Great.
Do you want to power up your U-Matic? Mine's dead as a doornail.
Is it?
Yes, doesn't even power
Have you
up.
ever fixed a U-Matic power supply before?
No.
Well, there's a video for you, I guess.
Oh, joy.
It might be a fuse.
Yeah, fuses blow for reasons. Well, it's not as dead as the other one.
Something going on.
Yeah.
We can sort that
Oh,
out.
that's making good. I need new drive belt noises.
Right.
Yeah. That's got potential, that one.
Yep.
But of course, the DMR 2000 doesn't have the RAR outputs. Oh, now it works. Look at that interesting switch there. Sonic and Philips. That's an interesting switch. I wonder what that does. Local. Now it might listen to me. Oh, wow.
Oh, that would have been changed something probably, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's a modification. Hey, that's very encouraging.
It's got a tape in it. What have we got?
That's really encouraging. Just want to have a look at that meter. It's audio. There's no video output, but it's probably just got dirty heads or something.
Yep.
That's good.
Okay, right.
Okay, so what do we have here?
This is a Euphonix System 5 console that was new at Angel Studios in Islington about 20 odd years ago. It was the state of the art at the time, digital console, and $400,000. Now for sale at £12,000. But it was in Studio 2 or 3 at Angel Studios, and it did all sorts of Downton Abbey, GoldenEye, Moulin Rouge, loads of big scoring for film, because London, as well as LA, is one of the top places to record scores, music scores. And there's only 2 big studios left, Air and Abbey Road, and Angel's just been reopened by Abbey Road. But this is this has been sitting here for a year unsold. It just goes to show how the technology has moved on. Although it's a great console, it's just not compatible modern day. Well, it's for a specific purpose. And
There's no chance of powering it up, is there?
No, unfortunately not.
I take it probably drinks quite a lot of power.
I don't think it's too bad. I think it's better than the old vintage Neves and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot going with it. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, an awful lot of cabling and
It's
Yeah.
usually a room to go with
Infrastructure
the
to go with
console.
it.
with a whole bunch of modules which will make as long as the console is underneath, sort of racks, and all MADI and everything.
Beautiful piece of kit.
Yeah.
What are those red things under there, by the way? Is that
These are the red Sonifex
Oh,
red boxes.
Broadcasting, like the impedance changes or something, aren't they? The format changes. They do all kinds of stuff.
I'll go with that.
Word clock input. It's a word clock distributor. It's
Yeah.
It's a clock for a broadcast studio. So all the digital gear.
All I know is they're worth about 150 quid.
Yeah. A DAT. This is an early 80s DAT machine, I think.
Yes. Well, I think I have one of those because that video where I modified a machine to become a format converter,
Yeah.
I had with it the domestic version of it, which was DTC or something 1000, which I think this one is. Yes, that's the 1000. So it's essentially the same machine with some different input and outputs.
I'm wondering if, I don't know if that is one of the things that Kevin, the bottom bit, I don't know if that's one of the bits that Kevin, so that's nice, analog input, AES, EBU, in and out.
Yeah, that's
It's weird.
not an incredibly important
It's
piece of kit these
it's
days.
audio design. No, it's a DA and AD, it's a digital analog converter, but it only has 44.1 and 48. I've never heard of it though. I don't think it's a particularly sought after piece of mastering equipment. Off we go. To be loaded. Oh, flipping hell, that's heavy at the front.
So, hello Chris, we've arrived at long last. So last time we were here, you were showing us this magnificent cinefilm scanner.
For moving images, yep.
Right, and now we have 3 stills scanners, don't we? Which do what?
From 30,
printed photos?
Absolutely.
Slides?
Glass slides, normal Kodachrome or 35mm slides that you'll find in anyone's got something like that. But any kind of photographic material will need a still scanner.
Right, okay. Let's have a look at them then.
Well, we look at all 3 at once. We've got from a flatbed scanner, which we'll cover on its own in a few minutes. We've got 2 slide scanners, and the difference between these ones is this one does things to the absolute best quality, but it's quite slow. And that one, the one in the middle, does it to almost as good quality, but it has something remarkable, a slide feeder, which very few decent scanners come with a slide feeder. So that one's quicker, can do more at once, but this is the best scanner ever made.
So I have a Epson Perfection scanner as well, and that also does slides. I think it's the model 2400. But this looks a lot bigger, so what's special about this?
Well, this is the Epson Perfection V850. I spent about 12, 15 years using its predecessor, the V750. And whenever a new machine comes out, you always think, is it actually better? Is it going to make my life easier? Is it going to do the job it's been bought for? And the answer to that with the 850 is absolutely. As a flatbed scanner, it's the best I've ever owned. There's three parts to scanning any particular image. You've got the image itself, you've got the scanner, and then you've got the software that goes with the scanner. And for many, many years, I was using Epson's own scanning software, which was okay. I was using it with the V750. But putting a better machine with better software is getting much better images. And now I'm using Silverfast Studio 9, which is, by most accounts, the best possible software to go with something like the Epson V850.
Right, so where do you load? How do you load a photograph or a slide?
Okay, it's very, very simple. It's just basically a top like that. And so if you've got a photographic image, you place it face down, leave that white backboard there, and the scanner comes along. Just a typical, standard photograph that we've all got in our Snappy Snaps folders. If you take that off, you can do things like this, which are glass slides. That's actually my great-grandfather.
Right.
In a black and white glass slide, and you'd put that in there very carefully, of course, because you don't want to scratch it. Take that white off, and you'd scan through, because that makes
So
it...
behind there is an illuminator, is it?
Just like that.
Oh, right, yes.
So that then makes the transparency.
So you've got, right, the way this one works then is you actually have 2 scanners, I think.
Yes.
A scanner there and a scanner there.
Yes.
Right, the way mine works, I think, is a scanner there and an illuminator at the top. But, right.
So you've got your glass slides, then of course you've got all your normal photographic slides. And with that particular model, the V850, this is where you get things like this. So you can do 12 slides at once, or medium format, strips of film. They all come with it, and they're decent enough quality. But as with anything in life, really, you do get what you pay for, and these machines are about 700-800 quid, and they're very good at normal printed photographs. But when you move up to normal slides, that's where machines like this, although they're quick, that's where they start to struggle on quality.
Yes, well, I can see there could be a risk of focus problems.
Yes.
Because not every slide is going to have the film part in the same height in the carrier.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the problem when you do batch scanning, is that you take your eye off each individual slide for speed. Basically, you want to. That machine can scan these slides 12 in about 2 or 3 minutes, then another 5 minutes computing time, well under a minute a slide. But as I say, the quality is okay, not as good as it could be. And that's when you move up to the other machines where you're taking about 7 minutes a slide.
Let's see the others then.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you have here? This is, I mean, it looks very sort of domestic, you know, Coolscan. It sounds like a domestic product, but is it?
No, far from it. Nikon spent a lot of time and money investing in slide technology towards the 80s and 90s, just of course as the market was about to die because digital. Now, in the 70s and 80s, you'd have had things like this, which is a carousel full of slides. So Bert and Ethel would go off to Mexico, shoot 200 slides, and then they'd pop that into a slide projector, and that would work its way around, showing all of the slides, take that off, put the next one on. So you'd have a lovely, exciting evening, just like The Good Life, watching 300 slides.
Yes.
So virtually everybody has something like that, a typical 35mm slide. Now, this machine does 35mm slides. That's pretty much all it does. But the great advantage of this machine is this. So when I put that on its side, pop that in there, this adapter allows you to put 50 slides in, picks it up, takes it in, captures it, pops it back out there, pops the next one back in. Now, if you imagine it's taking 7 minutes a slide, and you can put 50 in, you can set that off for 3 or 4 hours, and you're capturing still very, very close to the best quality scan that Nikon ever produced.
And how does it cope with curly uppy bits of cardboard?
Exactly. That is one downfall, in that it does like uniform widths of slides. You can alter the width. There's a little rotator here. So the width of that, which is like a divider that stops slides that are too thick going through, moving that back so only one slide will go through. But it's really useful if you've got 50 slides to make them all the same make or all the same width. If you start putting in random width slides, plastic, with paper, with glass, it's going to create, it's going to cause a blockage.
It jams, yeah.
So whilst it's very, very good, it does have its limitations. Its key limitation is, rather like the scanner behind me, what I like to do is to do as much work before the scan as possible. Ideally, the best way of doing any slide would be to go back to 1964 and reset the light, do your f-stops and do it all properly. The next best thing is before you capture, make as many alterations as you can, then capture by a pre-scan. This will pre-scan, but only one at a time. Can't do it if you're doing 50.
No.
That's where we move up to its big brother, the Supercoolscan 9000.
Okay, let's look at that.
Typically, on the website I was just looking at earlier, that's €10,900, which is beyond most people's budget to get their slides done. But it is absolutely superb. The adapters, unlike the flimsier ones, that'll do you some damage. And you can get adapters for 35mm, for 16mm, for medium format of various sizes. But if they don't come with it, to buy them, they're about £300 each, just for a plastic adapter. So, you know, be wary. But as a machine, it's absolutely superb. You take the slide in, pre-scan it. It has software that is the equivalent of having Photoshop, so you can do anything you like to that image. Then you tell it to scan.
So do you pre-scan all 5?
You'd pop 5 slides in there.
And
under
do,
there.
you can pre-scan each one?
Yes.
And set each one up for different settings?
Absolutely. Each one under whatever setting you want. It knows which slide and how it's supposed to look. So every single one of those 5 slides, then you can set it off. About 7-8 minutes a slide, depending on the settings. You can have dust removal, scratch removal, and we'll show a couple of photographs what that button does. It makes it take longer to scan, but wow, the disappearance of things like fungus, dust, marks, scratches is absolutely second to none. It was the only machine ever made with Digital Ice Professional. Now, Digital Ice is the scratch removal that some Canon and Epson machines have, a sort of baby brother version, but this is the only one ever made with the professional version with a setting for Kodachrome. Most slides are Kodachrome. You're obviously going to get different types, but it's the only machine that can deal properly with dust removal and Kodachrome. That's what a typical slide will look like. See all that?
Crazy, yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it? This, where's my keyboard?
Right.
I didn't do anything other than push one button in that machine and that machine that before it scanned.
Is that a photo we can use or not?
Yes, because I use it on my website. It's my great art.
So how much would you charge for a small quantity, say, of slides done on this?
Typically, individual slides, say if you had a couple of hundred, would normally at best possible quality work out at about £1.40 per slide. Slides every 35 minutes, which means I can get through about, it's just under 10 an hour, probably about 9 an hour. So in any one working day, I can get through probably, 10-hour working day, 90 to 100 slides if I push it. I don't mind doing that. I don't mind taking 2 days to do it properly because I'm interested in doing it properly. And this machine, the difference between that and that is light years.
Right. Now, you told me as we were on the way in, you moved this and you broke something. What did you break, Chris?
I broke the dust cover just there. I'm not going to push it in because I've snapped one of the little sprockets on the side. It's cosmetic. It's just the dust cover.
Right.
So I've got to now try and find a new way, rather like you did on one of your videos. What machine was it where you had to put the bottom flap and super glue?
Oh yeah, that was a Sony HS100.
The Beta Hi-Fi machine.
Yes.
So I've got to do that now with my very, very expensive scanner because I don't want dust getting in there.
No,
dust is not the friend of photographs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well that's the 3 main scanners. Between them, they'll cover just about every type of photograph, image, slide, glass, printed paper that you can throw at me. Depending on what you throw at me, depending on what you back, I can do it quickly, slowly, brilliantly, whatever you want.
Well, good, yes, yes.
Before your long trip back to Plymouth, I've got something for you.
Oh, yes.
3 of your favourite machines.
Oh.
All
Digital8?
clearly marked
Dead.
dead. Because there's nothing worse when you've got 8 identical machines.
Working out which is which.
Forgetting. Dead.
And by dead, do you mean they actually don't function at all?
No.
They don't work?
they won't play tapes, they won't output. However much I've put a cleaner through them, it's probably a really good head clean. And
now what it is,
I've slapped them, by the way. I've given them all the Sony slap.
There's a flexi cable from the bottom through to a connector here, and I think the problem is that the spring-loaded connectors squeeze on the conductor of the flexi, and eventually just squeeze it for so long that there's no longer making contact because I think the solder paste just sort of oozes away over time. So you can strip it down. It's a lot of work to strip them down. It's absolute pain. You've seen the video on that. Horrible thing to take apart. And then reseat those connectors, and that generally solves the problem. And you can get an assortment of faults as a result of those connectors, but the most common 2 are that you lose one head, so you get stripy pictures, or if it's on Digital8 or for analog, you get very shaky pictures with only half the image content. Or the other thing that happens because of the similar connectors you get dew sensor errors when you know full well there isn't a dew sensor problem.
No, none of those errors. It's just not playing tapes
Right.
properly. And
Okay,
when
I'll
you
have a
put
play
a
with
tape
those.
in functioning at my other remaining functioning machines, it's absolutely perfect,
Right.
spot on. But those blue screens,
Yeah.
the blue screen of death, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you'll get a picture if you do picture search.
Yes.
That's
yes.
typical.
Yes, you can see
Yeah.
what's on there, but you
can't-
stop
yes.
that and then there's
It just goes
nothing.
blue screen. Yes, that's the connectors problem.
So if you can fix those,
I'll
you're
have
welcome
some fun
to
with
them.
those,
You're,
yes,
you're
thank
even
you.
welcome to send one of them back to me.
Oh, was that good? Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Enjoy. Here you go, Cole.
Oh, thank you. Yes, ideal. I'll have some good fun seeing if I can fix those on YouTube, of course.
Pleasure as always. Safe journey home.
Thank you. It's a
And
long way.
next time you're in the area, I'll try and have some new stuff for you to have a play
Cool.
with.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye for now.
Indeed.
Well, here we are a few days later. We have the PCM 1630 in the workshop. Let's just see if we can find out why we were getting no RF output, which is like the video output, which probably means the head's contaminated. Let's have a play with this machine. Right, so I have the machine in the eject position. I see here something's not quite lined up here with the front panel. Not quite sure what to make of that. Why is this wonky? Something to do with the hinges in there. Let's hope that's cosmetic. Okay, let's power it up and see what we can find out. Okay, it is powering up now. Remember when we were in the lockup, the first time we tried to power it up, nothing happened. Well, I plugged it in when I got back, and again nothing happened. And then I tried it again later, and it did happen. So there's something intermittent going on there. I'm very intrigued as to what this switch is, but something's been modified, and I don't know in what way. Now, the reason I think the heads are clogged is the brand name of this tape. This is an Ampex brand. And as we all know, Ampex tapes shed oxide and clog heads, something terrible. So I have a different recording on this tape, which I know does play okay. So the first thing I need to do is take the top panel off and clean the heads, and then try that tape, and then see if we can get this meter to come up. If that works, then we can connect it to the PCM 1630 that I have working and check that it plays okay. Right, we could have good access. I'm going to see if I can set you up so you can get a better view of that. Right, we're looking down on the head drum. I need to clean the head tips very carefully indeed. I have a head cleaner stick soaked in isopropyl alcohol. Sometimes you get a black streak on the head cleaner stick, and there's just about a faint one there. I'll let that dry thoroughly before putting a tape in. I'll also clean the other guides while I'm here. So this is the linear audio and control head. I mean, the linear audio is not important in this case, but the control track of course is. And I'm just going to get a feel for it to see if I can feel any ridges, which would imply a lot of wear. No, I can't. It feels very nearly brand new, that head. Hiding slightly under this bracket is the pinch roller. I'll clean that. Again, it doesn't look very high mileage. And if you can see there that at the bottom of this bracket there's a little bit of tape debris. So some tapes have been run on it that are not necessarily in the best condition. Okay, it's looking okay. I think I'll put a tape in. Let's power him up again. Put my tape in. Press play, and we're looking for RF signal. There we go. Really strong RF signals up to number 4. We'll try the other head. That's less good. That may just need to clean itself up. It looks like it is. That's a record and play, and that's a confidence head. Go back to record play. Very strong RF signal on that. So I think we're good to connect this up to a working PCM 1630 and see what we get. Just before we do go and connect this up, let's have a quick look at the boards we have inside. So a big panel on the top there, which I think will be preamplifier. It says noise cancel. Over here, more cards. This one, time code. Not sure about these, have to look it up in the service manual. Down here, SV, that would be servo. Auxiliary audio, I'm not sure, audio I think. Now you might say, why do you need audio on this thing? Because it's recording audio as a video signal. But I think people would often connect up the audio as well to the same signal. So you have an analog copy of the digital audio on the same part of the tape. Okay, we're ready to test it. So let me first show you how I'm testing this. We have the DMR4000 that we've just purchased, connected via just two BNC cables from the composite video out 1 and 2 channels, because it's got a 2-channel system here, and that is feeding over to the 2 input channels of PCM1630, which is known good. Got a pair of headphones connected to it. This is my other at the top DMR4000. Right, so that's been disconnected to allow this one. So let's see if when I play this known good tape on this machine, we get some audio out. Here's to hoping. So I'm looking for this. We have music. Let's look at the lights on the front of this. Right, the tape's in fairly rough condition and we are getting some CRC errors, but they don't seem unreasonable. And this is the key thing here, you have this RAR feature, so playback mode, A channel, B channel and RAR. I don't appear to be getting anything from the B channel. So though A channel looks excellent, very few errors, B channel is not working. And without B channel I can't use the read and read again feature. Well, after a lot of messing about with cables, it turned out the reason this RAR feature wasn't working is I had this set wrong. DA in was supposed to be internal. When I set it to external, it kills the one of the channels. So put that back onto there. I don't fully understand what that meant, but that is correct now. So we're getting the RAR feature working properly. So it is reading A and B channels, and so it's now reading both channels, that's to say the video channels, and doing its best to do corrections by looking at both reads from the tape. I would say that's working extremely well. Errors you get as a fact of life on this format. And of course, one thing that's always worth doing is to tweak your tracking control and see how much range you've got. So if I move the tracking over to one side, eventually it goes into mute, and over to the other side, eventually it goes into mute. But it's a nice wide area in the middle where it's working properly. It's giving me very few errors actually, considering how bad this tape is. That's doing very well. We're happy that this is playing okay. Is there any chance that the PCM1630 will work? I don't think so, because I don't think it has all the required cards, but I could be wrong. Have a look again inside. So this card is missing, and I imagine it needs it. Oh, shall I look inside mine and see if it has that card? Yes, the second to end card is certainly installed in my 1630, so I don't think it'll work without that, but we'll try it, and if necessary we might borrow the card out the other one. Oh, we may have something. Seems to be trying to play, but that card's missing, so let's borrow it out the other machine. I now have audio, but extremely poor, very crackly. Lots and lots of crackles. Certainly unusable. I could do a bunch of panel swapping with the other machine to see if I can isolate which one has the fault which is causing all the crackling sound, but of course that carries a certain amount of risk, so I'm not sure I want to do that right now.
Okay, so after a very long and arduous journey back up the M1, we have got so far what appears to be working with this lovely ppm or VU meter, I don't know which one it is, ppm I believe, and we have the U-Matic DMR-2000. So far we're struggling to get it to lace. I've got a pre-recorded master tape here. Light goes on, sensors knows the tape's in there, but the tape counter just runs on and on and on. So there's something not sensing inside there. So I'm going to take the top off and have a look. But so far, well, so far to be expected. We've got some issues that's probably going to involve some cleaning and lubricating, I would say, at the very least.
So having looked at that DMR-4000, I think that the main heads, the ones that record play function, are in excellent order, possibly slightly better than the ones on my other machine of the same model. The confidence heads, they don't look so good. It may just need cleaning, but it looks like they may be less good. But it doesn't affect the performance of the machine. And I believe that machine's playing at least as well as my other DMR-4000. I suspect slightly better. So good. Done with the PCM 1630 work for now. Let's have a quick look at these camcorders I picked up. So we have 3 Digital8 players or camcorders, TRV120E. The great thing about these is that they will play analog as well as digital tapes, and I'm told that none of them give a good picture. So let's power them up and see what we get. First thing I'll do on each is put a head cleaner tape through for a few seconds. Right, this one I can hear is still searching for a Digital8 recording, which implies it's got no output from either head. Actually, you can force it to look for analog only. It's in the menus. Playback mode, auto, 8mm. Okay, with no output from either head, this looks pretty bad. But we'll try the sharp tap approach. Now, this is not a fix, but I'm just going to do this to see if it points us in the right direction. If you give it a sharp tap, it can make the contacts work that go between the head drum and the lower PCB. And if that gets it going at all, then that demonstrates that that's the problem, and I have to strip it down and look at those head connectors. Okay. So that appears to be working fine now after a sharp tap underneath, so we're just looking at contact problems on the head. Okay, this is very common. So it doesn't know if it's analog or digital. I'll force it to analog again. These selectors very often wear badly and jump around, making it very hard to select anything. I can't use the menu. If I use picture search, you'll see a kind of a picture, like it's got clogged heads, but it's not clogged heads, it's heads that are not making contact. So we'll do the tap on the bottom approach just to see if we can confirm that it's a bad contact. Yes. Yes. So that's proven that we just have a contact problem with the flexi cable at the bottom, and we also have a contact problem. Well, actually, this problem here with these lights not working and the buttons not working is a bit harder to solve. You actually have to replace the contact, the whole PCB, the flexi PCB from this set of buttons down to the board, which is rather hard. Notice also we have intermittent sound, although it could be the recording itself. I'll try a different tape. No sound. So that's a separate problem. Ah, that may not be real. That might only be intermittent sound on playback through this speaker. So I'd have to connect it to a firewire port and see if we get sound on that. It might be that it's losing volume control through here. Now try a tape. Okay, we have that clogged head look. Power it down, give it a tap underneath. Try it again. And that's working too. So all three would have problems with the connectors from the head to the lower PCB, and one may additionally have an audio fault. Now, since we've covered lots of different things in this particular video, look what I've been given. One last thing, I even got the instructions to this. It's an Etronic radio, or as I would have called it in the day, wireless set from around about 1951. So this thing is 70 years old, quite something. But I'm not going to plug it in because the capacitors fail in these things, and it's quite likely to do itself some damage. There's a really good channel, Mr. Carson's Lab, and he does lots of work on old equipment like this. Now, I'm just going to show you, Scott, because you've never seen anything like this, have you?
No.
So we've got 3 wave bands, medium wave, which still works, there's still a few transmissions on that now, long wave, which I think there might still be 1 transmission on, and short wave, which is kind of for long distance transmissions from foreign countries. And there are an assortment of unlabeled controls here, and I'm fairly sure this is the tuner. Yes, and it's barely working. Look, see how the tuning line is just trying to move. This will be lit up. It looked really beautiful when it's working. And this, I think, selects the wave bands: long, medium, short, and G. Which might be a expanded section. That's what they used to do sometimes.
Okay.
And look, Radio Luxembourg, that was a favourite station of mine back in the day. 208 metres that was. Right, but what I want to show you, Scott, is what's inside. Now, because you used to have to repair these things quite a lot, they made it very easy to dismantle. So, shall I take this off? The mains flex.
Smells old.
It does smell old. The mains flex is not very flexible. Feel the mains cable.
Okay.
It's not very good, is it? And it's not what they call double insulated. So if you were to poke through this, you'd go straight through the mains wiring. So that's not really safe by today's standards. What do we have here? So we have a very large speaker, which is a clue that it's, you know, half decent. And this is the... I think this feeds out to the speaker via our transformer. I think that's the mains transformer. This is a thing called a variable capacitor. When you move the tuning dial, these vanes go in and out and alter the capacitance between these layers. Can you see that, Scott? See all those little
Oh, I
layers?
see, yeah.
Of course, these days it's all done with varactors and things, but and the active components in this, they didn't have transistors. The active components were valves. I think I've shown you a valve before, haven't I? Thermionic valves, or as the Americans call them, tubes. And they're plugged in because they fail. So you have to be able to replace them fairly easily. They look a little bit like small light bulbs, but it's not actually the light bulb filament that usually fails on them. Usually what goes is they contaminate. And the front here is supposed to be lit up, and there's a light bulb sort of screwed in the front here for you to be able to light up the dial, but that light bulb's clearly failed because that's gone black as well. So under here, if we pull the chassis out, which shouldn't be that hard, but I'm not going to do it right now. I think we're going to do these screws and the whole chassis will come out. Under here, all these components are wired up. Do you remember you were looking at that N1500 video recorder when we looked at the PCBs and you noticed that some of the circuit boards were tidy and some are not so tidy?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, this thing's really untidy because they use what they call point-to-point wiring. Each component is wired in and soldered by hand. There's no circuit board in here at all. They were just coming out, circuit boards, around about when this was built, and you can see a few of the components just about in there. So that is what a 70-year-old radio looks like. Oh, come on, that's quite good, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. It actually looks surprisingly simple.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the complexity is hidden under this bit, you
Yeah.
see. Yeah. And beautifully comes with the instructions. Look at that.
It really looks old.
It is, doesn't it? Oh, look at this. Oh, look, tells you what the controls are, maybe. Gram. G is gramophone. It's so you can plug your gramophone into it. Now we understand. Oh, look, it was purchased 13th of December 1951 in Plymouth. It's a 5-valve all-wave super heterodyne, which is a really complicated way of saying super het, which means it's a modern radio, if you like. It has something called a local oscillator. Rather than just receiving and amplifying the signal, it uses a local oscillator and mixer, which gives much better performance. There we are, there's all the instructions. And it's got an automatic volume control.
I see.
I'm not sure I've ever seen an automatic volume control. So what that does is when Radio Luxembourg is fading in and out, it adjusts the volume automatically for you. I've never heard of that before. This beautiful piece of equipment, it's not my cup of tea. I can't service this and give it really the attention it deserves. So this piece of equipment is up for grabs. If anybody would like to collect it from near the Plymouth area, or I can probably package it up as well if really necessary. The only cost then will be the post and packing costs. So if somebody would like to take that off me and service it properly and give it a good home, please do. It needs some cosmetic work as well as the obviously the electronics. There's a bit of a chip on the case there, but it should come up reasonably well, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at all the different things we've had a chance to play with in this video. Please remember to like, share and especially subscribe, and I'll do a lot more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now.